Yo, Thorgon here, and recently I set myself the challenge to beat every Nightlord in a row on Solo Raider. And since I succeeded, I'd like to share my strategy with you so you can do it too. Let's start with the relics I used. Two of these are bought from the store using currency from the Everdark Sovereign boss, the relics that increase stance breaking with 2 weapons, and the one that buffs damage when beating Everjails. My last relic gives Raider a buff when he's hit during his skill and allows you to heal back damage when hit. At the end of the day, you can beat any boss with any relics. These ones are just really good. Alright, getting into the game itself, I'm going to start with the obvious because some of you still need to hear it. Clear the first camp. It's easy, it's quick, and it gets you to level 2 so you can start clearing the harder POIs safely. Alright, with that out of the way, now we can start talking about what we need to complete a successful run. Priority number 1 is weapons, 2 is Everjails, and 3 is levels. At some point, we also want to hit a mine and a shop. On that topic, let's talk about POIs. Churches are great and convenient. Running the opposite direction of your next objective to get them is a no-no, but if the circle is closing in and you don't have time to clear something else, then finding and grabbing a church is a great option. Everjails. We want to be planning to hit as many of these as we can, even if we don't have the relic that gives a buff for clearing them. They're still a great way to get levels and get good drops. Forts and great churches. These are the main POIs we want to be hitting if possible because they have fancy chests in them, which commonly drop stone sword keys for the Everjails. Ruins we typically don't care for unless it has an element we want for the Nightlord, or it's one with an easy boss and it isn't too far out of the way. Camps are a bit better than ruins because they have a ton of chests to get weapons to either fill our power stance or get some nice passives. Clear them if they're convenient, but we will want to swing by one at some point anyways in order to buy an extra item slot and to grab the Wending Grace for an extra revive. Forts also usually have shops, and we can also stop by these places to upgrade our weapons. Mines. We want to hit one whenever it's convenient or try to force it by the end of day 2 in order to upgrade our main weapon to purple or secondary if we already have a main purple weapon. If your secondary isn't blue, you may need to find or buy another smithing stone. Getting both your weapons as strong as possible is huge for dealing damage to the boss. Let's touch upon the weapon bonuses really quick. Additional damage when wielding 2 armaments or 2-handing are your number 1 find. After that, we like reduced damage at full HP after getting hit or on repeated attacks. Improved critical hits and jump attacks are also things to look out for, and then resistances to ailments for damage the boss does are solid as well. For permanent buffs, we want raw stats. Health, stamina regen, physical attack damage, poise, stance breaking, crits, and damage after critting. Boss relevant damage, ailment, and resist. Increased roll iframes and buffed after inflicting certain ailments when relevant are all good as well. Now that we know what we want, let's talk about pathing to get it. Let's check out one of the maps I got during my run. While flying into this map, there are a few things I look for immediately. Is there a place for a boss weak weapon? Yep, right here. Next, I check for the jails and places I can get keys for them. I see the top right is filled with POIs I don't care for, which means I can follow a path like this. This allows me to try for a good element weapon, hit 2 jails, 3 places that might have a key, and even a church or 2 along the way. Once day 2 rolls around, I can follow a path like this. The first area here has a field boss and a jail. After clearing one or both, I can go up here for another key and a flask charge. Next up, I can clear another jail, stop by a store for a Wending Grace if I need to, and hit a mine, coming out the other side here. Last stop is going to be this jail as well as the field boss that spawns by this jump stream. Odds are you won't be able to clear everything I mentioned for day 1 or 2 unless you're quick, but each path provides plenty of high quality POIs to hit. Once it's time for the boss, be sure to grab another Wending Grace from the vendor, any levels you can, and upgrade your weapon. Between your 3 revives, 5 to 6 flasks, and skills to tank, you should not have much trouble brute forcing about 70% of any given boss. If you need help with specific boss mechanics, there are plenty of guides out there, but if you'd like, I can put together a showcase of clearing them each on Raider. Now that you know how to plan a successful run, get out there and do it! Good luck, Raiders, and remember, if you enjoyed this or found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe.